Hello students, today I am going to narrate you one more story, and the title of the story is A Season of No Return. The story is written by a well-known Punjabi writer, Gurdial Singh. So now you can understand that the setting of the story is Punjab. I am going to narrate the story in 3 sections. The first video will deal with the first section of the story. The main character in the story is Kauri, who lives with her son in a city, and she wants to go to her village where her another daughter-in-law and her son is living. So let's see what happens in the first section. Early in the morning, the daughter-in-law came into room with a cup of tea in hand and repeated the very same words in her characteristic sweet voice which Kauri had been hearing for past 1 year. Maji, pranam. It's 6 o'clock. Please have your tea. After leaving the cup on the mat close to her pillow, she went right back, dragging her chappals along. She did not even bother to see whether or not Kauri had woken up. It is another matter that she had been lying wide awake since before the dawn. For almost a week now, she had not known what sound sleep was. Kauri picked up a tumbler of water lying by her side and walked into the bathroom and started washing her hands and face. The daughter-in-law had left a small, neat towel on the peg already. Using it, she wiped her face clean and returned to her room. After having had her tea in small gulps, she lay down again, pulling blanket over herself. There was hardly anything she could have possibly done. After about 20 minutes or so, she sat up in her small manji all over again. At exactly 30 minutes past 6, Santok walked in, holding Kakka in his lap, and after greeting her with Maji, Sat Sri Akal, he promptly handed over to her. For a while, at last, her heart danced in a joy. Seeing an innocent smile on Kakka's face, she felt as though weight had dropped away from her chest. Invoking blessings upon him, she broke into a childish prattle and started conversing with him. Stretching out her hand, she picked up the basket of toys lying on the top of the closet, pulled out a rattle and started shaking it. Every now and then, Kaka would get impatient on hearing the tip top of his mother's chappals as she went out of her room and into the kitchen or from the kitchen to the bathroom. Looking towards the door, he would start flaring his arms and legs. Then, breaking into slow whimpers, he would look up at Kauri's wrinkled face. The moment she noticed a woe-begone look on his face, she would start rocking him in the cradle of her arms, making noises such as "ooh ha 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 ha" in an effort to calm down him. Thus, having managed to humor Kakka, she would again make him sit in her lap and start conversing with him. Biba Kakka will take a little chuck. He will buy a motor car. He will drive a car too. And while talking to him, she repeatedly stole a glance towards the kitchen, the daughter-in-law's room, and the bathroom, or just started blankly at the walls, her ears attuned to the sound of the footfall. In bracket, that moment a strange dread could be seen lurking in her eyes. Bracket complete. Suddenly, as she felt a wave of nausea sweeping over left, she called out, "Santok, my son." "I'm coming, Maji," Santok responded from inside the bathroom, and after a while he came into his mother's room, dressed in spotless white kurta pajama. Wiping his wet hair with a towel, he looked at Kaka and blurted out, "Oh naughty one, you are up to mischief again." "No, son, I had called out to you so that—" It was almost as if Santoki had understood her meaning without her having to complete the sentence. So he rushed out, saying, "All right, I will get the medicine." That very moment, Kauri had an insistent bout of cough. Santok returned hastily, a glass of water in hand. Putting down the glass on the mat and taking the medicine out of the strip with other hand, he handed in a sarson-colored tablet to his mother. As she put the tablet in her mouth, lifting the glass, Santok offered it to her. Once Kauri had swallowed the tablet down with water, he took the glass from her. Then as he came out, picking up the glass and the wrapper he had removed off the tablet, he whistled, making Kakka break into a smile. Now Kakka was happy, playing with grandmother. At exactly 35 minutes past 7, Kakka's mummy came into room, her wet hair spread over her shoulders. Her sharply lips suddenly blossomed into a smile, almost like the petals of a rose. It was as if she was inviting Kakka to break into a smile. Then handing in the milk bottle to Kauri, she repeatedly in the same sentence she had been spouting at that hour for the past 3 months now. Please Maji, give Kakka his feed. Perhaps it was the first time in 3 months that Kauri had not responded with her usual warmth, saying, "Give it to me, child." Quietly she took the feeder and put it to Kakka's mouth. Kakka too started sucking it without a demur, and the daughter-in-law went back, a smile of satisfaction on her lips. By 8:15, both Santok and his wife were ready to leave. Going past her mother's room, all Santoki said was, "All right, Maji, we will make a move now." He went across to the veranda, took his scooter out and kicked hard to it. Both the husband and wife sat themselves upon the scooter. That very moment, Kauri came out into veranda, holding Kakka. Both of them raised their hands to say, "Tata" to Kakka and sped away. Smiles pasted upon their faces and their arms swaying through the air. Sucking his left thumb, Kakka kept staring at the scooter, wide-eyed. He didn't break into a wail, though. Kauri kept standing in the veranda for some time. She was somewhat surprised, wondering where was the neighbor, a Gujarati woman, who always used to come out the moment she would hear the scooter leave. That very moment, her neighbor came out, calling out to her from the veranda of her quarter. She spoke in Hindi. "Benji, why don't you come over? Are you feeling all right?" "All well." Then, taking a little breather, she almost screamed as she said, "Bittu, my son, what are you up to? Oh, Bittu, why don't you come to me?" Something must have crossed Kauri's mind that she decided not to respond. She looked at her face, smiled, and then, adjusting her chunni, walked it right back in. As she came in, Kakka had already begun to doze off. She set him down on the bed, and with a little patting he went off to sleep. Getting up as she went towards the kitchen, again she felt somewhat restive. A huge pile of unwashed dishes lay under the tap. It would be quite some time before the maid came, but she couldn't possibly touch the dishes. Her son and the daughter had strictly forbidden her from doing such chores, saying, "Maji, you must never do such a thing." Picking up her plate with paranta and curd in it, she came back to her room. As she was about to eat, the very first morsel got stuck in her throat. As it were, with great difficulty, she managed to finish half the paratha. Whatever the curd and the paratha was left, she covered it with a big plate and put it over the mat. A sudden pain stabbed her back and she lay down towards Kakka's feet. For some time she kept staring at the roof, and then her mind started drifting along its own wave-world currents. So I have here read out, narrated the first section in the story, and you have come to know that there are three important or four important characters are introduced in the very first section of the story. Kauri, her son Santok, then daughter-in-law, the son of Santok and daughter-in-law, who is fondly called Kakka, and one more character, that is Gujarati woman who lives in the flat close to Santok's flat. So you come to know that Kauri looks after Kakka when both husband and wife go to work, and this she has been doing for last 2 or 3 years, and she constantly remembering her days in the village. So this section tells you about the psychological mental state of Kauri, who lives in the city. I hope you have understood the first section of the story.